maybe have it, Karen?
I hope I
Bring
did.
you see.
Go ahead and introduce you and everything like
Okay.
that. Is it okay if I stand here? I don't need to be seen on that anyways. First of all, I'd like to thank you for coming and being willing to listen to our speaker today. Our speaker's name is Kathy Rogers. And just a little information about her. You may have read it online, but I'm going to read it again. Kathy has a love for God and music. Her mission is to share her love of teaching by planting seeds for Christ and helping those placed before her to develop a lifelong love of Christ, music, and learning. Kathy has spent her career as an educator of all ages. She's an early childhood music specialist. Kathy has taught hundreds of children through her own music studio and her years of teaching at Wichita Christian School. There she taught classes for ages 2 years through high school. Kathy began teaching Bible classes from Cradle Roll and Toddlers under the leadership of LaVon Randolph at Faith Village Church of Christ in Wichita Falls, Texas. Kathy and her husband, Randy, which is right over here, have been Bible hour leaders, small group facilitators, and served in many other roles through the years at churches in Wichita Falls. Most recently, Kathy was coordinator for children and family life at Edgemere Church of Christ in Wichita Falls. And then there's one little fun fact. Kathy and Randy have flipped 2 large old houses, but now live in a 40-foot RV in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And so let us welcome Kathy and give her our undivided attention.
Thank you.
Start our class with a prayer, just to prepare our minds to get ready for our session. Dear Father in heaven, thank you for giving us this opportunity to receive new ideas to better our teaching abilities with little ones that thirst for God's word. Thank you for sending Kathy to be our presenter and presenting her ideas. Be with her today to help guide her in what she wants to tell us. Thank you, Lord, for all you do for us. It's in his blessed name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Karen. Karen, would you mind shutting
I
just
will.
that one door? Because we're gonna make some noise. Sorry. I'm hoping by the fact that you're in here that you're good with singing. Yes. If not, you're going to become good at singing today. First off, I get people all the time that say I can't sing, and you can sing. You just may not sing well with a group. Okay, or with instruments or other, like with the radio, maybe you can't match pitch. That's okay. When you get in a cradle roll or a baby's class, you're the only one singing, and they don't know the difference, and they don't care. They want you to sing. I'm going to talk to you. This is going to be a little bit different. I know you see, if you've been doing this a while, which we'll talk about in a minute, a lot of Palma Smiley stuff. This is not going to be just a Palma Smiley session. This whole table is giveaways today. This needs to go home with people today. Okay, so hopefully there's something here if you're lacking or you need to fulfill some little spot, there'll be something here for you. That's what the drawings are for, and you're going to be put back in even if you win at one session, you're put back in for another one. So it's all great. Okay, so stand up with me. We're going to sing a hello song to get us started. And this is actually one that I do in my preschool babies classes that I teach at the music studio. So if you have babies that are to the point they can clap their hands, or even if you don't, you have hopefully a helper that's helping that child. So you don't want a lot of distraction from your helper, but this is a time for them to start that patterning and training. So we're going to clap, and this is it. I'll sing it first. It goes, let's sing hello, hello. Let's sing hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. Let's sing hello, hello. We'll start with that part. Ready? Let's sing hello, hello. Let's sing hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. let's sing hello, hello. Let's sing hello to Kara. Let's sing hello to Kara. Hello, 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 hello. Let's sing hello to Pat. And I'm gonna switch it out and I'm just gonna make it fast. So let's sing hello to Brenda. Let's sing hello to Stephanie. Hello, 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 hello. Let's sing hello, hello. That's simple. Okay, and you start them clapping and patterning. You can have a seat. If you want to add the Bible or whatever, we're going to talk later about taking songs that you know and just putting that little tweak, and hopefully you do that as well if you've been teaching for very long. You could add, I'm glad you're here in Bible class today, or whatever line you care to enter. Now, I'll tell you that Randy, I'm not coming back on up here. You want to get me on?
It's upper left, you have to push that button.
Okay, well, it's not gonna work for my finger because it says iPad. While I'm doing that, if you have a phone with you, and if you don't have a phone, find a neighbor that does. I need you to go to texting on your phone real quick. He was gonna give me the Wi-Fi code here, and he didn't, I forgot to go for duty. So hopefully you have, we're just gonna do this one thing on the internet. So text up at the.
It's just a text, so you
Yeah.
have to have internet.
At 2, it's 22333, and then in the message portion, put Kathy Rogers 137. We're gonna do a little poll and get to know each other.
When you do it right, it will look like that. It'll say you have joined Kathy Rogers' session. And after that, it'll just be A, B, C, or D to answer.
Once he starts. Let me know when you're in. You in? You in? Okay. Pat, Karen is gonna let you guys look on, and you can just, you can even just shout out A, B, C, or D, whatever answer. It doesn't matter. This is just for me to kind of adapt what we're talking about to you guys.
And it's fun.
Yeah, hopefully it's fun.
I think I did that, but let's see.
Did you get it?
No, I don't really know how.
Okay.
This thing.
Okay, that's okay. We're gonna do a new message.
Yes.
Okay, now put 22333. Okay, and then down here where it says message.
Oh, message, okay.
There you go. Now text Kathy Rogers.
Yes, I'm a little.
That's all right. No problem. No problem.
I don't ever do that.
Okay, we most of us in or there. You'll see the questions on the screen. You need in? Okay. I'll tell you what, if you ladies don't want to do, if you don't want to do it this way, you can just color out your answers. It's okay. Okay, it's no problem. It's no problem. You just holler out your answers. Okay, Randy. All right, I teach nursery or toddlers because, and just so you know, a college professor friend helped me with some of these answers. They're not all my answers. A, I teach toddlers or nursery because he put A, I'm a glutton for punishment. B,
What was it again?
oh, I'm sorry,
Kathy Rogers, it was
137.
137.
Yeah. Okay.
To something else, so.
Did it not go there? Okay, well, you can just shout it out too. Oh, no, that's it. That's it. That's it. You just hit agree. It's poll everywhere.
First,
I'm just put on everything. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just hit
Join
join.
and
Yeah, just hit
again.
join. Just hit join right there. Okay, well, just shout yours out too if it's not going through. All right. A is I'm a glutton for punishment. B is I know it's an important learning time. C is I got roped into it. Or D, someone asked me and I've not forgiven them yet is what, these were Jeff's answers, not mine.
Just put A, B, C, or D and then hit send.
Yeah.
You can have more than one.
That's true, you can. What do you think? What was yours? What?
B and C.
B and C, okay.
I've
B,
been there for so long, I don't even know.
okay, all right. So here's our, everybody in? Okay. Go ahead, Randy. Baby. Can you get it to go?
There
you go. Oh, good. Everybody knows it's an important learning time. That's great. We're off to a great start. Okay, let's do our second one. We did this at a Christmas party that our small group is responsible for and did Christmas stuff. Okay, so he'll get it big for us hopefully here. Maybe. All right, I've been teaching nursery or toddler classes for, we got a bunch of choices here. 1 year or less, 2 to 5 years, 6 to 10 years, 11 to 20 years, or 20 plus years. E, I knew it. E. Yeah. Okay.
Can it be helping?
Oh, yeah, it's just in there. Okay, good. So everybody has some experience. So that's good. 1 year or less, that's okay. We got lots of good stuff for you today too. Oh, cool. Okay. So we've got people in every group here. That's great. All right, Randy, next one. I teach nursery because I love to cuddle babies. I know it's important again. I got roped in. Oh, this was the one we already did, Randy. This is where we got Jeff's in there instead of the actual question while ago. So just skip to the next one. Okay, I like the curriculum we use. Yes, I wouldn't change anything. Not really. Is there something better? Or we don't offer classes for our babies or toddlers. And there could be a D on that one. I like it, but I'm looking for a little more. So we didn't put that on there, but pick your best.
Did I skip one? Or is that it?
Okay. Nope, you got it. Okay. Good. Can I ask you, just quickly, are you using See and Know? Anybody using See and Know? Okay. Are you using Palm and Smiley's Early Childhood? No? Okay. What you are using?
I kind of use a combo.
A combo of stuff? Okay, great. That's kind of what I do too. Yeah.
We just got a lot of stuff that Greenlawn didn't need anymore, so
Okay, we're gonna help you today. We're gonna talk with you guys today. I'm gonna get you going. Okay, all right, great. You would be surprised. Churches of Christ kind of have the gold star when it comes to teaching toddlers and babies. If you don't know that, when you go to other churches, they don't necessarily offer much. Some of the new curriculums like group and so forth have a picture and you hold the picture up and you tell a story and that takes you 5 minutes and they don't have tables, they don't have anything, and then the kids go play. So if they have that. So you're quite lucky that you're in a place that recognizes that there is an important part. That's not luck. We all know it's not luck, but there's an important part to training our young children. So, okay, Randy, next one, please. I know who Palma Smiley is. Just because, you know, she lived here in Lubbock. She's from Lubbock, so, okay. Okay. All right,
Moving on.
good. Keep going. Because I have a whole lot to tell you. We're running out of time quick. Okay. I believe singing and music is important for babies and toddlers.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm a music teacher, so you know how I feel about that. But I have research to back me up. So,
I know my baby loves it.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Wait till you hear some of the stuff I have today.
I think
Okay.
that no is a response from the previous one. I think we said.
Okay. All right, keep going. I'm here today because this is the last one, I believe. I need to be re-energized. I'm new to teaching this age group and want to gain some skills. I'm looking for a few new ideas. My team came and I just wanted to hang out with them. Okay, and you can have that one plus something else in there. Okay. Great. All right. Well, you see, I kind of wanted to get to know you, and this is the best way I need to do it because I'm hopefully going to talk to all of you, but I want to try to adapt it a little bit. So between sessions, if you get the chance, let me know if there's something specific you need or you're looking for. And I already know what you guys need and what you're looking for. So we're in good shape there, which is a lot for them because they're just starting out. Just so if you're wondering why I keep going to them. Okay, like I said already, everything on this end of the table has to go home today. One of my goals today, this class is going to look maybe a little different. If you've been going to Cradle Roll, if you used to go to ACU workshops, and I used to go where Palma had just bukus of stuff out there, and you just went boom, 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 and you were writing as fast as you could and going, oh, I can use that, I can use that, and then you got home and you went, what do you know? Where is that? What did I do? I don't have time to do all that. So this session is going to look a little bit different today. First, I want you to know that my goal is to give you new tools in your toolbox, and that may not just necessarily mean for babies, because we are a ministry. We are an important ministry, and our ministry is to parents as well as the babies. If you are not connecting with your parents, we're missing a huge opportunity, especially when you hear some of the stuff I'm going to tell you today. But church leaders also, not all church leaders recognize the importance of these classes, and they think, oh, we just, can you babysit or can you keep these kids? And you're teachers or assistants. You're not just the babysitter. You have an important role. And in my opinion, you have one of the most important roles in the church. I really, truly believe that. I think children's ministry does, and I think out of children's ministry, that this age group is the one we need to really plant seeds. And you'll see why I think that too. Because, I'll just tell you, because we have got research that is hard evidence that we actually are making a difference for life by the seeds we plant at this age and what we do for these children. So, are babies and toddler classes really important? Yes, they are. Are there benefits for babies, toddlers, and their families? Absolutely. There are benefits from this class that go to siblings or to other family members. So we're going to hopefully hit a few of those today. Does your church leadership know that this is the forgotten door to the church? If they don't, you need to be working on that. You need to make sure your church leadership understands what you have coming in the door and what you have to offer for outreach, because you have a lot to offer for outreach in Cradle Roll classes. So we're going to start with, like I said, this is going to look different. I was really convicted by some of the stuff I'm going to share with you today right before the pandemic hit. And then during the pandemic, I did tons of Zooms and things that they offered for children's ministries and children's ministers to help figure out what to do in the pandemic. And so when I was asked to do this workshop, and I prayed about how to offer, what to offer, this is what kept coming to me. So like I said, it's going to look different. I'm going to give you a lot of research and a lot of info to help you help your parents and to help you help your church. And then I'm also going to give you stuff for what to do with the babies, okay? So the first slide we're going to see, can you see my slides okay over here? The first slide we're going to see, if you're not familiar with brain development, and I could go super deep on this, but I found this really great website that you can access. If you look in your resources, pretty much everything in your resource is pretty cheap or free, things that you can access. I didn't pull from difficult resources because I wanted you to be able to use this stuff. So this is from a site called adam-mila.com, and it's in your resources. How the brain learns, and this is 0 to 6 years is what this particular graphic is looking at. So in the brain, we have neurons, that's the cells, and the neurons form synapses. So take a guess at how many synapses each neuron creates. Got a guess? 10,000, 100,000? What do you think? 5? 40,000. Every cell in the brain can make 40,000 connections. Let's see our next. So here's what it looks like, and this is probably a little bit hard to see, but on the left, that's a newborn. At 1 month, that's the next one. The next one is 9 months, and the next one is 2 years. Isn't that amazing? Do you see why you are the most important people at church? That's how much development happens in the first 2 years, okay? Yeah, this side over here may be a little easier to see. The thing that we know about this is that the learning by experience and repetition is what builds that. Are those words familiar to you in cradle roll? Repetition, repetition, repetition. That and singing are the two things that are going to get you where you need to be with these kids, okay? So I want to tell you a little story, and this actually came from some of my music training about a cat. And they were doing research, and they took this cat and they sewed one of its eyes shut at birth. It was a kitten, because they wanted to see what would happen in the brain. And so they waited, I think it was 6 to 9 months, and then they took the stitches out of the cat's eye, and guess what happened in that eye? It was blind. It couldn't see, because at the critical time for its vision to be developing, it couldn't develop vision in that eye. So nothing else was wrong with that kitten, except its eye had been sewn shut. And so when they took it off, it was blind in that eye. That's kind of what happens with children. When the neurons don't get the opportunity to form those synapses in the areas, and spirituality is literally, just wait till I tell you, I'm so excited to tell you this stuff about spirituality. When those connections don't happen, if you're not talking about that and putting that into their lives, then those connections are, those neurons are redirecting and making connections in other paths. Same thing happens with language, same thing happens with music, and all those other skills that they're learning at that very young age. If they're not fostered and work to develop those, then they lose those and they go to other areas. That's a huge reason why music development, music teaching, I teach, I've had classes 18 months and up for 20 plus years for music in my music studio, parent-child classes, like kind of like kinder music kind of things. But I also have children that are playing the piano, clapping and reading rhythms, and reading music at 3.5, 4 years old because of this, because I'm introducing it properly and I'm giving them the opportunity to make these connections. So we have approximately 86 billion brain cells, okay? So if you've got that many brain cells and they're all making connections and approximately 40,000 connections per cell, wow, God. I mean, that's all you can say. It's wow, God. Okay, so you see by this graph that the critical period is, it's got it birth through childhood, but you see how fast that graph goes up in the early years, okay? Keep going, the one about the, well, maybe. There we go. Do you see at 25 days, there's really no orange, but by 9 months, look at the size of the brain, okay? At birth, the brain is only 25% of the adult size, but by age 3, it's 80% of the adult size. And that's the age group we're talking about today. Okay, keep going, please. Now, I told you this is a free site, so I'm not going to go through all of this. This breaks down the different parts of the brain and what each part of the brain is responsible for and controls, and why it's important to, you know, try to activate as many of those parts as you can. By the way, music activates more parts of the brain at once than any other activity, and it forms a thicker, lost the word. The core between the two sides of the brain is thicker in musicians and people that started music really young than it is in other people. even musicians that started later. So, optimal conditions for learning. These are numbers, and you see the 0 to 1 there, and the 1 to 2. Look at the jump in 1 to 2 years of age. For social skills, for symbols, for language, vision. Look at vision. It starts way up high and then comes down. So a lot of this stuff, if we don't introduce it, we don't activate it early, it's not going to be as strong. It doesn't mean they won't have it in some cases, like vision, because you use that constantly. But keep going. Habitual responses. Look at the hearing. That's another reason you start really young with singing. And when you sing out loud, the way that the information comes in through the ear, the brain actually processes it differently and stores it differently. So that's why I get my kids singing with me as early as possible, because they're hearing it and absorbing it and storing it in a different way. It stores in their memory differently. Emotional control, woo! We know about that between 1 and 2. Look at 1 in emotional control. And I understand you have a 1-year-old, so you probably have true stories about that.
She turned 1 yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. And motor development, okay? So, are you important? Yes, you are very important. Okay, keep going. I think we're kind of done with that. Is that the end of that? Yeah, it's adam-mila.com. You can pull that up and share it with your parents. It's in your resources. That's a great thing to do if you have like a parent training or a parent orientation. It's pretty fast. You can send them there or send it home, email it to them or something and tell them to go through it, which you'd probably do better if you actually have them in front of you. But so we need to get this information out to parents and to grandparents. And one thing that I will tell you is you are the #1 mentor for those babies and those parents. You are the expert in your church, most likely, for those babies and parents, because you're the ones working with them every day. You're their spiritual guide, okay? Now you think, for babies, am I really? Yes, you really are. There's things you do with those babies and those little guys in class that makes you them, one of their primary spiritual guides. So, and they need spiritual guidance. We're going to get to the spiritual side next time. So, but right now, the other thing to remember is that with parents, especially if it's your first child or if it's another child, it's kind of a reset in your life, right? That first baby changes your life. A lot of times it's when you realize, oh, wow, I wasn't really going to church, but I really want to go to church, or I have no spiritual connection, but I want my child to have that. And so you're seeing a lot of families in a lot of different situations, but they're open at that point to what you have to offer. So it's important that you're connecting with them and offering it to them, okay? All right, so we're going to talk real quick now about Generation Alpha. Generation Alpha are the babies born between 2010 and 2024. You have a handout in your packet that says Generation Alpha, and there's a lot of bullet points on one side. So we're not going to hit them all, but a couple of things that I want you to notice in your handout. The first generation completely born in the 21st century. The biggest generation in history, when they're all born by 2024, they're estimated to be 2 billion. Now, this research was done before the pandemic, and I know some of the research coming since the pandemic have said that actually there weren't as many babies born during the pandemic, that people kind of reevaluated and were kind of holding off. So some of this may change a little bit because this is all during the pandemic or right before the pandemic. Most of these numbers right here came from that time period. In 2014, 21 million under the age of 4. 21 million in America under the age of 4. That's crazy to me to think about. Okay, this next one I really like. So tech is developing faster and faster and faster. It took the radio 38 years to reach 50 million people, and look how fast Pokemon Go reached that many people, 50 million people. 19 days for Pokemon Go, 38 years for the radio. So when you come to me and you say, well, my kids did okay with that, or you know, I don't see any reason, or your leadership says, I don't see any reason to change any of that. It's worked fine for all these years. These kids, their brain does not look the same as even my kids' brains looked 20-something and 30-something years ago. They are not the same. And we could kind of get away with that, because you see it took 38 years for the radio to reach that many people. So we went for a long period of time of not a large amount of change with kids and with littles. Now there is they're just in a whole different world. And so to say what we have always done is what we can always do, that's just not going to cut it. And as you'll see in a minute, that's not going to cut it with their parents either. Research shows us that too. Religion out the window. One research group said that this group just doesn't have a connection to religion or churches. Now, we in the church know that we see a lot of kids, and thankfully we do. But if you go American and worldwide, religion is not an important thing, and you guys know that. So this group began the same year as iPads, automated transmission, those beeps in your car and stuff, smart speakers, hey Alexa, all started. So these kids know no different. And the generation before them always had microwaves and remote controls for their TV. And, you know, I was the remote control when I was little. I got up and we had 3 channels, and you got one of those 3 channels, and that was it. That's not the case anymore. Now it's going down the road. They can be watching on your iPad or phone. Not great. We're going to talk about that too. But hopefully we've got a lot to cover today. Notice that adolescence begins younger and lasts longer. That's a big one. So we have little girls developing in 3rd grade, 2nd, 3rd grade. You've probably seen that. And it lasts longer because the brain doesn't fully develop till they're in their early 20s, like 23 or 4, I think. So that whole period lasts longer. Education lasts longer. Jobs, marriage, living independently, they've pushed all that back. So, you know, part of that's just practicality. You have to live at home because you just can't afford to live on your own, or you have to have 3 roommates or whatever. And so that all looks different. And of course, because they've grown up like they have, they want all the stuff that we worked years to get. But they grew up with it, and they think, you know, I moved out and I should just have all that right away. They're globally connected. This is one of the first generations that is, you know, I'm in children's ministry groups with people from Africa and England and all over the world. And they're globally connected that way too. And even your young children that are playing games, that's why you have to be so careful with what they're seeing. Their leadership style, this is a big one for the church. Their leadership style does not look to a single leader. So where we always had the eldership or the preachers, now they're looking for a bunch of leaders, more of a small group kind of thing. They're looking for a bunch of different people, and they're looking for people their age. That's them and their parents, okay? So they're not expecting to walk in and this person tell them that this is God and then go, okay. They're not going to do that. And their parents aren't going to do that either. This is God, this is who he is, and this is what he created. And they're going to go, maybe, you know, let me check on that. Because they have it at their fingertips to check on that. Check on that. Let's put that loosely. The other thing is one-child families are increasing. Okay, there's a bunch of information on the back, but I don't have time to go over it with you, and you can read. So there's information there about their parents and their grandparents and their education in schools and so forth. So I'll let you read that at your own leisure. Let's talk about millennial parents real quick. First off, even before COVID, the world has changed and there's no going back, period. Since COVID, The world has changed and there is no going back. The one thing I do not like to hear, it just almost makes me crazy, and I know you may feel this way, and so I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend, but to say, oh, I can't wait till we go back to normal. Oh, I can't wait till we go back to, we are not going back to what we knew as normal pre-pandemic. The world shifted and changed. Those were all changes that were already coming. Research showed us that they were already coming, but the pandemic like forced them on us and pushed them years ahead. So they happened like overnight. So to say, let's go back to normal, we have to find the new normal. And that's really important in church, that we find what the new normal is so that we're reaching this generation of people. Church is losing this generation and they don't know why. Well, it's because we're not engaging them in the way that they engage. We're trying to engage them. Now, I'm not obviously talking to our young one over here, you guys. We're trying to engage them like we were engaged and like we want to be engaged. I'm 57, put that out there. So, you know, I've gone through being a child of the 70s and all that kind of stuff. But what I might be comfortable with is not going to cut it for these new parents. We have to acknowledge that difference, and we have to acknowledge that they want transparency. They don't want us to just say, oh, because, or oh, just give me your baby. And is that right? Do you want to just hand your baby off to a stranger that you don't know because they say they're the cradle roll teacher and you trust that they've been vetted? No, she's not going to hand her baby off to you. She doesn't know you. You may be the best, greatest teacher in the world, but if she doesn't have a personal relationship with you, she is not going to hand you her baby. Okay? And if she doesn't hand you her baby, you can't do all these important things you need to do with her baby. Okay? So we got to work on those relationships with those parents because they're not going to bring their kids if you don't work on that relationship. Okay. Marriage before kids or living together, perfectly fine. They don't care. They see no moral problem with any of that. Father's roles are changing. You now see co-parenting more than mama has to work and mama does all the childcare and mama does all the cooking and all the blah, blah, blah. Now they're co-parenting much, much more. Thankfully, that's a good one. Average age of first-time mom is 26 and in 1970 it was 21. It's 5 years older for the most part. Okay, obviously there's exceptions to that, but that's for the most part. Okay, they do value kidmin. If they're in church, they do value children's ministry. They want the people to know their kids' names and recognize their kids. They want to know what safety protocols you have in place and to see those. Hello. They want to see those safety protocols. They want to see that your space is a safe place for their kids. So Hemi, your baby at the door and leave there's pluses to that because the longer they hang around, the worse, the harder it is to get the baby where you need it to be. Even toddlers, especially toddlers. But you need to offer opportunities for them to come in your space, see your space, see that it's clean, see your cleaning practices and protocols, see your safety protocols. What are you going to do if there's a fire? What are you going to do if a gunman comes in the building? Those are all real life things that we have to think about now and we have to address. So please write that down as something. If your church has not addressed that, you have to address that. How are we going to get 10 babies out of the room with 2 of us in there, or whatever your ratio is because your extra person didn't show up or whatever. Okay, we have to cross the gap to them. They're not coming to us. They care greatly about their kids. They will spend time with their kids, but it does not look like the time that we spend. It's not family meals. They'll be involved if they really think you need their help. If you say, oh, come join us, and then you don't train them and you don't put them to, employ them right away, they'll decide they weren't needed and they'll leave. And we don't want that. They live in the world of instant gratification. My phone is with me everywhere I go, and so is the microwave, right? We've got a refrigerator in here and a microwave right out close. They want to know the why of everything. And they want to modernize because they don't trust the old. Let me say that again. They want to modernize because they don't trust the old. So if your table looks like it was painted in 1970, they're not bringing their kid in that room no matter what you're offering, because it doesn't look like you've modernized. Okay? I can tell you that firsthand. I've had personal experience with that. So if your room looks dated, do something about it. Even if it's a coat of fresh paint, do something about it to update it, okay? All right, Gen Z parents, and I'm gonna be really fast because we're out of time for this session. We've got to get to our giveaway. So accepting, understanding, and empathetic with their kids. There is no more authoritarian parent style. They don't go for that, really. They want to explain with them and talk to that. You've seen it. You see it. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just a change, okay? Some changes are good. And I think it's kind of one of those, the pendulum swings this way and then it goes this way. Where's the middle? We need to come to the middle a little bit. And I, as a teacher, am willing to walk up to your child and say, honey, we don't touch that, okay? Go stand by mommy, or whatever. And then mommy looks at me like I'm weird. I'm like, oh, well, sorry. Or here, play with this, not that. They're more likely to talk to their kids. Now, this is Gen Z, and I think you have the dates up to about 2012. There's some overlap in these. They're more likely to talk to their kids about emotions and mental health. The Gen Z generation was kind of the beginning of a big transition with technology and everything. They have a lot of mental issues. The parents coming up with them didn't have the stuff to parent them into what our society and what the world moved into. And so they do have emotional and mental issues. That's a real thing. Not to say they need to put their big panties on, as you say, in some instances, but at the same time, sometimes you can't just put your big panties on. And this generation has true issues with not being able to just put your big panties on. They recognize that there are digital negatives for their children, and they attempt to find that ground that's okay with that. They're pro-government. They're not going to look to individuals and businesses because they're pro-government and they want the government to fix things. This is the last part I'm going to get to on this one. 9 in 10 believe couples living together, not married, isn't harmful to society. 9 in 10 of Gen Zs. 35% think single women raising children is bad for society. 62% think children outside of marriage is okay. 60% say same-sex couples should be able to adopt. And I'm not placing judgment on any of these things. I'm just giving you information, okay? 29% important, we're all here from church, so I do have some opinions, but 29% important to marry if they have a child. So they could have the child could be 10 years old. Oh, we should get married. 17% American adults view polygamy as morally acceptable. Think about that one for a minute. So, all right. So real quick, I told you this morning is loaded with stuff, kind of heavy stuff. Next, we're going to talk about spiritual things. So that's going to help us. It's going to get a little more fun. But I need to have a giveaway or a drawing real fast, Karen. So if you want to reach in our bowl and give us a name.
Did everybody get their names in?
Yeah.
What are we giving them?
They get to pick from the table. And if there's enough sun, these are the suns that are up here that you can hang, you can put on a wall, you can do all kinds. Levon, by the way, Levon Randolph is not teaching anymore. And she did workshops like this also. And she sent me her materials, 2 boxes worth of her materials, and said, take what you need for doing these kinds of things, and then please put the rest of it in the best place that it can be used. So that's why I'm not saying you get this, you get this. I want you to look at this table of Levon's materials and things that Levon has had for people to take and use. Some of this has not been developed yet. but we want it in a good home and we want it used to teach children about Christ. So who's our person that gets to go first?
Melinda,
Melinda. Okay, so we're gonna take a break real quick. I hope you come back for the next section because we're gonna get into spirituality and babies. Do they have it? And then Melinda, your name goes back in and come up here now.
Oh, so
Yeah.
it goes back? in?
Yep.
Okay.
You're in there
She's not his.
every time you're in here. All right, y'all take a quick break and we'll see you back in just a few minutes.